Well, first and foremost, I want to thank my constituents and my colleagues for the trust that they instilled in me. America is struggling. We're struggling with a stagnant economy, a failed health care law, and so many are living paycheck to paycheck. They're looking for individuals that put people before politics. I'll make one promise. I will work every single day to make sure this conference has the courage to lead with the wisdom to listen.
Where the accusations fly fast and furious, grown men and women fare to tread, and where every single day there are more four-letter words spoken under breath than any cadre of drunken sailors might think of. Let us go inside the Beltway, Washington, D.C. with Newsmax D.C. correspondent John Gizzi joins us. John, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Ed. Always a pleasure.
Always, my friend. Let us talk a little bit about Kevin McCarthy, and there's been so much discussion, and we have talked about it as well, about his ascension now. But here's an interesting point that I took from one report, and I want to quote this and get your comment. It says, the ascent of McCarthy and Scalise, the new majority whip, represents a defeat for the hard right pocket of the GOP conference, which complained about both candidates' commitment to conservative values. Would you?
Why I don't like unnamed sources when they say things. I like to have it on the table and just see who's saying what about whom. The fact is that it is true that Kevin McCarthy is an insider, less a policy guy than nose counter and cultivator of people. That's how he got as high as he did in less than 4 terms, the most meteoric rise of any House leader of either party in history. Now he's a heartbeat away from the speakership. The fact is that if this were a defeat for lack of a better word, the hard right within House Republican ranks, why did so many who are considered strong conservatives, people like Congressman Robert Pittenger, chairman of the Terrorism Subcommittee, weigh in with Kevin McCarthy so early? Now, he did have an opponent in Raul Labrador, a favorite of the Tea Party, tremendously articulate spokesman on controversial issues such as immigration. He did not do well in the secret ballot. McCarthy obviously had something going for him to win over conservatives who number 60 to 80 among the 233 Republican House members. Steve Scalise has been chairman of the House Republican Study Committee. On the day that Eric Cantor quit, I was with him, and I heard him lay out a strategy for further pursuit of IRS investigations. He is someone who is close to movement conservatives and the Tea Party. To say that he is not conservative is to say the earth is flat.
Which we're not going to do here. But let me ask you about Steve Scalise, who is now the new whip. What's going to be expected of him in this short time? Because certainly the whip is an important position, has an awful lot to do, important job to do.
The whip is the head counter in the House. Kevin McCarthy made the friends he did to make the next step he did because he knew the interests of members, knew what was needed, what they could do, and what they couldn't do, or otherwise arouse the fury of voters back home. Tom DeLay of Texas, a guest on Newsmax, was also an expert in this area. Steve Scalise will bring a little something different. As I said earlier, he's a policy guy. He'll be a linebacker behind Congressman Darrell Issa and his investigations into the Obama scandals. He will also be someone who will continue to work with members to supply information they need on key votes. I think he'll be a very different kind of whip in that he meshes the traditional head counting with some hard-edged conservative policies. And I dare anyone to come on Newsmax then and say he's less than conservative.
We will put the dare out there. Let us turn to the president now and his most recent decision about what will or what may happen in Iraq, actually. What are you hearing around the Beltway right now about perhaps some warming up, perhaps, or some friendly overtures being made by the White House to Iran to maybe start some discussion?
That was the last question of the news conference I attended yesterday at the White House when the president came out, made his statement that no ground troops will be involved in Iraq, but there would be advisors to the Iraqi army. And the final question was the proverbial elephant in the room. are we willing to work with Iran? And the president sounded conciliatory. He said that we are willing to deal with them so long as they don't back a particular group as they did in Syria and make a situation worse and worse for their own economy. Now, he said old habits die hard, but he was at least open to seeing a kinder, gentler Iran. This would fit in with some of the statements from President Rouhani lately about wanting to go into Iraq and work with the U.S. Members of Congress on the Republican side, almost to a person, say no deal on Iran right now. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, told me the Iranians hate Americans. There's no way we should deal with them. This has been echoed by a lot of those who support an airstrike in Iraq by U.S. forces. So there is a clear difference of opinion on what to do about Iran right now.
Got less than a minute to go here. This whole IRS losing emails. Paul Ryan is getting involved, blasting the head of the IRS. Where do they go from here? I mean, where does this whole line take us next?
This is something he feels very strongly about, getting to the bottom of the IRS investigation. What you will see in the coming weeks are further investigations, further subpoena against the White House in the wake of the Lois Lerner, someone ate my IRS emails excuse, and further support for Congressman Issa in his investigation in the Government Reform Committee. I think it will be taken to a level, and by the way, as they said about Benghazi, this scandal is not going away.
What a shock. Another scandal that's not going away. And as always, John Gizzi will be inside the Beltway to tell us a little bit more about it. John, thanks so much for your insight. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
I can't wait. Thank you, Ed.
All right, John, take care. Quite frankly, it's scandal upon scandal upon scandal. But it's wonderful to get inside the Beltway and see what's happening here. It is where human beings fear to tread. You've heard an awful lot today here on Midpoint. Now, you get to tell us again. We continue to tell you. Tell us what you think. Tell us your opinions. Give us the ideas. It's the American people who talk back to us on Twitter, email, and Facebook. We'll take a break, come back, close things out on a Friday, get you ready to head up to New York City because there's a lot more to go here on the Newsmax TV network right after Midpoint.